Good afternoon, I'm Sam Hartley and these are the latest sports headlines. Michael Carrick has opened up about fellow players with depression. The former England and Manchester United midfielder opened up about his own depression this week. Carrick struggled for 2 years after United's 2009 Champions League final defeat to Barcelona. The 37-year-old has spoken about his troubles during the 2010 World Cup.
I was finding it tough, I'll be honest. When I got to South Africa, I got to the stage where I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be back home. I just almost had enough of football in some ways, which sounds crazy for me to even say that, but at the time that's how I felt.
England are back in Nations League action tonight. They've travelled to Croatia in a repeat of this summer's World Cup semi-final, which England lost. Manager Gareth Southgate could name several youngsters in his team, including teenagers Jadon Sancho and Mason Mount.
We're here to try and get a result, so the team we play will be a team we believe in, whoever's ready to start. It's not experimentation, it's players we believe in.
The Premier League have today announced their awards for September. Chelsea forward Eden Hazard won Player of the Month, while Wolves boss Nuno Espirito Santo claimed Manager of the Month. Hazard scored 5 goals in 4 matches as the Blues kept up their unbeaten start, whereas Wolves took 10 points out of 12 in September and conceded just 1 goal. The proposed sale of Wembley has hit a snag. Many of the FA's 127 councillors are still unconvinced by the plan to sell the stadium to Fulham owner Shahid Khan. Khan owns NFL team Jacksonville Jaguars and wants to use Wembley as a London base. There will be a decisive vote on October the 24th. There will be 3 British drivers competing in Formula 1 as of next season. George Russell has signed a multi-year package with Williams and joins fellow Brits Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris. The 20-year-old has been given the full support of Williams' vice principal, Claire Williams. Here's what she had to say.
To have someone like George with his determination, his personality, he's got a fantastic personality if you meet him. He's really a joy to be around. We need somebody in this team that we can build our team around moving forwards into the future. As everyone knows, it's not been a good year for Williams and we need a galvanising force, and I know George is going to be that for us.
To rugby now, and Wasps face a huge blow ahead of their opening Heineken Champions Cup clash. Captain Joe Launchbury is sidelined for 10 to 12 weeks after undergoing knee surgery. Launchbury picked up the injury while captaining club-side Wasps in their Premiership victory over Leicester on the 16th of September. The 54-cap international is also set to miss the autumn international tests against South Africa, New Zealand, Japan and Australia next month. The international break is back underway and England are using this opportunity to give the youth a chance. Wolfpack Media took to the Matt Le Tissier Coaching Academy to hear the players' and coaches' opinions on youth development.
It is Maddison! And he's done it! Joe Gomez having to show all his strength, all his pace, and he did just that. It's Alexander. Oh, no, he struck it brilliantly! What a moment for the teenager! What a strike! What a free kick! Sancho can run in behind now. Picks the pass perfectly!
Just the way he stood over the ball was confident. You have to see that from a young player.
Last week, England manager Gareth Southgate sprung a surprise by naming a young England squad for the upcoming UEFA Nations League matches against Croatia and Spain. Youngsters Jadon Sancho, Mason Mount and James Maddison were all called up to the senior squad as Southgate aims to integrate talented youth into the highest level as early as possible. Can the younger players of today be inspired by the success of the likes of Sancho, Mount and Maddison? Former Southampton player turned youth coach at the Matt Le Tissier Natural Coaching Academy, Pele Montero, feels such selections offer encouragement and hope for the young talent.
As an inspiration all the time. As a youth player, as a young player, you look at the top, you look at the seniors one, and if you see a 17, 18-year-old playing, you're always going to think, oh, I want to be there too, one day. So makes you come to training and train hard, and maybe one day you'll be there.
A few of the younger players at the Matt Le Tissier Academy agreed with the selection of younger players to inspire youth team players to work harder for success in their careers.
Yeah, because then they'll just get better and better and they'll like football more and more.
Because then they will get quicker and they'll get a bit more stronger.
Yeah, because like some older ones haven't even got that far, like 17-year-olds.
US soccer coach Julian Stahler supported Southgate's decision to give opportunities to England's youth and how it could benefit the national side in the future.
As a youth football coach, it's great because then you can relate these things to little practices that you're doing yourself. You can talk to the players and show them basically the route that these younger players in the England squad have now achieved. You can promise that to these players and show them that the hard work that those young English lads have really taken on as a challenge. You see that benefit really well in the first team side in England. So it's great for us as youth coaches because we can sort of inspire the kids in a different way.
Could Southgate's bold call inspire a brighter future for England's next generation of talent? Coaches and academy players support the idea that this positivity may pay off for the national team. But for now, the future is looking bright.
One with the goalkeeper, Dementia, gives England the lead again. England, who are the UEFA Under-19 Championship winners.
And this is the moment that will stay with these players for the rest of their playing days. England, World Cup winners.
For every England, Ireland, Scotland or Wales player that represents their nation this weekend, there are hundreds who don't make the grade. But is it simply that footballers who don't become pros weren't good enough? Or were they the result of an industry that isn't built to support the nearly men? Luke Dennis has this special report.
Obviously I was flying at sort of between sort of 16, 18.
I was always playing a year above purely because I progressed quicker.
Good morning, Solent University.
Jordan Rose had a professional contract at Southampton Football Club's academy. He was 16 and had a head full of dreams. He saw his future as being a professional footballer. Now, a decade later, he is studying at Solent University, having suffered from the cutthroat world of aspiring to be an elite athlete.
Nothing that anyone could say to me at that time that could make that situation better. And it was only through the fact that my family was so supportive and picked me up day to day that I probably survived that period.
With Saturday the 16th of October being non-league day, it seems the perfect time to highlight this widespread issue. Like Rose, Andreas Robinson currently plays for Havant and Waterlooville Football Club in the National League. The former Southampton youth captain felt the help he received when released was not enough.
Yeah, I mean I went through obviously a dark time, really obviously negative thoughts, all those sorts of things. And you ring people at the PFA welfare helpline, 24/7 helpline, all those sorts of things. The underlying issue is the fact that obviously they pick up the phone, but you need people to be doing things or say in person.
However, there may yet be hope for those who need it most. New organisations such as the Football Family are offering guidance to those let go by professional clubs.
My name's Zhu Langdan, I'm the founder member of the Football Family. The Football Family is a non-profit organisation that looks to support the health and mental well-being of players released from academy football clubs.
The Professional Footballers Association estimates that each summer about 700 players are released by their clubs, causing upset and uncertainty.
Academies are great at supporting the players, and the ones that leave, unfortunately, don't get the same level. Loving the game, and if we can ensure that they stay in the game, there is still a route back to professional football.
John Champion has been commentating on the Premier League since its formation in 1991. He feels with the amount of money at the top level that clubs and the FA should take more responsibility.
Well, at Premier League level, clearly there's enough money washing around that they should be able to take responsibility themselves. If you've got academies at lower levels, I think maybe the FA has a role to play if you're dealing with more cash-strapped clubs. But I think generally, yes, the FA as the governing body has got to set a lead. It's got to come from within. The leadership needs to come from the FA, but I think the Premier League needs to step up as well.
The importance of organisations like the Football Family is likely to continue over the next few years. Their progress can be followed on Twitter at thefootballfam2, along with their website, thefootballfamily.co.uk. Luke Dennis, Solent Sports News.
Southampton aren't in action this weekend, but there is plenty going on around the local area. Even more so as it's non-league day, as Michael Coleman explains.
There is to be late drama.
God City!
These are sounds you won't be hearing at St Mary's this weekend. The international break is upon us, but there is still plenty of local football in action. This Saturday will be the 8th annual non-league day.
My name is Mike Bailey and I'm the campaign manager. Looking at the international breaks, realising that when England played on a weekend there were no Championship or Premier League games, starting a social media experiment to try and encourage fans to go and watch the local non-league side instead.
The campaign has been a success ever since. On average, there is a 10 to 20% increase in attendance at clubs across the board. For example, in 2012, Wingate and Finchley more than doubled their average attendance on non-league day using a pay-what-you-like scheme. In the same year, Colville Town saw a 52% boost on the gate compared to their highest league game. Non-league clubs rely on fans coming through the turnstiles each week for financial support. The income gained through fans is given back to locals via community projects, youth teams of all ages, and having a football club to support. There wouldn't be a football club without its fans.
Oh, they're massive. The income coming into the club is what makes it work, and it's its heartbeat, if you like. And a significant proportion of our income is from through the turnstiles and through our season ticket holders.
That was Salisbury chairman Ian Hammond, now for a fan himself.
Ian Bailey, Chelsea season ticket holder.
Although a season ticket holder in the stardom of the Premier League, Ian has followed local football for over 30 years. He explains the attraction to the less glamorous game.
Started off watching non-league before I watched Chelsea when I was younger, in my early teens, and just carried on doing it because it's a pleasurable watch. You watch people who want to play. Maybe they haven't got the skill set of the top class players, but the enthusiasm is there.
Non-league day is becoming more and more popular each year. This is aided by increased media coverage that the campaign receives. Premier League clubs have also got involved in the promotion of non-league day. Former Blythe Spartans press officer and non-league writer Mark Carruthers believes the media is vital.
The media play a very important role in non-league. When you have something specialist like non-league day coming around, where there are quirky stories, there are clubs around the non-league scene that are just a little bit different, that'll attract supporters. Non-league is kind of the foundations that the national game is built upon.
Non-league stereotypes are diminishing. From the running of the clubs to the quality on the pitch, non-league football is more professional than ever. Francis Duku's 20-year career has allowed him to experience the transcending of the game.
Well, I've spent my entire playing career at non-league football. It's now more professional than it's ever been. The club trying to, do things which are more similar or more associated with pro clubs.
Go and support our local clubs on non-league day.
He rounds the keeper, Zabrowski, 2-0 to Eastleigh. Back in front here, they're back on top of the table. Hawks 3, Concord 2.
To Solent University sport now. Our football correspondent, Alex Dyer, has been investigating the rise in fees in Solent football.
Money is increasingly becoming the centre of the human universe, and it's something now seriously affecting participation in university sport, with fees for the Solent Uni football team now soaring to a whopping £150. Many students are spending more of their time drinking and less playing the beautiful game. Solent First's goalkeeper, Ben Morella, still turns out on the pitch, but doesn't believe the facilities of the team warrant the price.
They'd be able to justify it if we were given things such as new kit and, say, maybe more access to training sessions, transport to training sessions. Unless we see a real difference from last year, I don't understand or think that they can justify making it more expensive.
Fees have risen £30 from last year, while student footballers from Swansea only pay £95. Solent assistant manager James Campbell told us the uni must explain and show why there's been an increase.
Slightly different role now, but I completely appreciate where the students are coming from. If for the sake of £30 they can make the student experience better, then it will be worthwhile, but I don't think we'll know until they've fully explained and they have full transparency over what they're going to actually do with that money.
Matt Long is one of Swansea University's star players and told us that he can understand the price disparity between different unis.
We pay sport memberships, which is 25, and then on top of that, football fee, which is 70 quid. Probably because it's playing in the same league, it probably should just be the same. But I guess in different unis where it's more expensive to live, maybe it should be cheaper.
Earlier on, I caught up with the students of Southampton to get their thoughts on the upsurge of costs.
Thinking about joining the university football team until I heard it was £150 to join this year. When you're paying £9,250 a year for university education, you'd want sport at least to fall under that.
I thought it would be included in what we pay for the university tuition.
and it's not, which is really bad. They get enough money, so why do they need more?
So I don't really think it's my kind of thing with all the coursework we've got this year. But if I was to be involved, I don't think the price would put me off, because you get enough student loan now to be able to cover doing exercise and sport.
The fact that I come to university and want to take part in sport, spending all the money we do, and then expected to put a lot more on top. I was paying about £30 a week on transport. I think it's a joke. I don't even know what I'm paying for. I was training once a week, not getting in the team.
Appeals have begun to bring down the price and bring up participation.
Thousands of students just dream of playing the beautiful game at Solent University, but this dream has been taken away from them. For just £150 a year, you can make this dream come true again.
Following the brawl at UFC 229 last week, we found out how the reputation of the sport has affected grassroots clubs. Henry Flynn reports.
Cash those tickets, and wherever you are in the world tonight, one way or another, we will all witness a piece of UFC history. The king is back.
On the 6th of October, Conor McGregor faced Khabib Nurmagomedov in what was meant to be one of the greatest fights in UFC history. But that couldn't have been further from reality.
And off Khabib jumps the fence. No. Whoa! All hell is broken loose. He's going right at Dylan Dennis. Mayhem.
Khabib, who was victorious on the night, chose to leap outside the octagon to attack McGregor's trainer. The brawl has tainted UFC's reputation, but how has the scandal affected amateur fighters at Next Generation Martial Arts Gym in Southampton?
Personally, I do think it's wrong.
Kaylee Walker's been practicing mixed martial arts for just over a year.
I'm a firm believer of whatever happens in the octagon should stay there. Win or lose, you should walk away and respect each other, really. I personally think that UFC fighters, they create really good role models for young people, and they show good work ethic, usually a lot of respect.
I'm George Martin. I train kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts. If somebody says mixed martial arts, they'll think cage fighting, they'll think no rules, eye gouging. I think people will respect the sport a lot more when they see stars of their disciplines, when they really start to break in and show that they are true mixed martial artists, and the values are still there and the discipline is still needed to become a top martial artist.
One of the key questions is whether UFC is projecting a good image to the world.
My name is Anton De Freitas and I'm an MMA coach at MGMA. Khabib wouldn't normally do that, jump out of the cage and jump after people. People that were just coming to watch MMA for the first time, they'll either be completely turned off by it or completely like, I want to see more of that, it's how exciting. People at the top, you know, they get the money, they need to be thinking about how they carry themselves and what kind of a message they portray.
One of the controversies of mixed martial arts surrounds its brutality. But is this just part and parcel of the sport?
Just two people beat each other up if you don't understand the technicalities, but I think you would think the same for a boxing match. Mixed martial arts has been on the increase. I think it has been put in a more positive light, and there is a lot more to it than, like you say, if you don't understand it, then the savagery that happens. I think we're being educated more about what's going on and like the technical side.
The British Medical Association declined to comment on the physical dangers of mixed martial arts, despite their head of ethics and science, Dr. Vivienne Nathanson, saying, "Ultimate fighting can be extremely brutal and can cause traumatic brain injury, joint injuries and fractures." There's no doubt that mixed martial arts is an exciting and dynamic sport, but it remains to be seen whether it can clean up its tarnished image. Henry Flynn at the MGMA Gym, Solent Sport News.
Earlier, we brought you the news that there will be a vote on the sale of Wembley Stadium later this month. Jamie Spohr has looked at how the British public will be affected.
It was announced recently that Wembley could be sold.
Bit of breaking news, American billionaire Saeed Khan has made an £800 million bid to buy Wembley Stadium.
The Fulham owner, Shahid Khan, has offered £800 million to buy Wembley.
Tries an instinctive volley, oh what a goal that is! That is one of the greatest goals you will ever see at Wembley.
Wembley Stadium still remains an iconic venue as the home of English football, but now the future of the biggest sports arena in England has been plunged into doubt
after a proposed £600 million bid by Fulham FC owner and American billionaire Shahid Khan. Thrown into the public spotlight is the fact that £160 million of this total cost was generated by the UK taxpayer. With this in mind, we spoke to the general public on whether they feel they should be reimbursed by the Football Association.
So actually I believe that they could pump the money back into grassroots football.
The FA, let's be honest, they're corrupt anyway.
Well, absolutely, the taxpayers should get their money back.
You shouldn't keep the people of the country's money when selling something that they don't own.
The money could always be used for something better than that. I think it's harsh that they've taken it away from the taxpayer.
There have been suggestions that the revenue made from the sale would be used on grassroots football around the country, but can the governing body promise this? Members of the FA will hold a vote before the end of the month on whether to push through the deal. Unfortunately, they were unavailable for comment.
Yeah, it's completely, as you say, imperative that taxpayers do get back at least as much as they put in for this.
That was James Price, head of the Taxpayers Alliance, and he believes that the FA will need to compensate the public if any sale is finalised.
The bottom line is that taxpayers can't be left footing the bill for these sorts of things. It would be completely inappropriate for public money, which is of course taxpayers' money, to bear the brunt of risk for these sorts of investments. A £600 million stadium. It's an awfully big risk for people to have to put in. The fact that it was sold at such a profit anyway shows clearly that there was a commercial case for this stadium. So why any public money had to be invested in the first place is another cause for concern. And I certainly hope that it doesn't spell the start of public money being used to finance speculative commercial projects that may or may not go well.
However, potential buyer Khan insisted that it's nothing new for the iconic arch to be under private ownership.
But this is not unprecedented. I mean, Wembley's been privately owned before, and our goal as stewards would be to continue the journey forward.
The 127-member body will convene on 24th of October to determine Wembley's fate. Jamie Spohr for Solent Sports News.
That's all from us today. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Solent Sport News.